Giovanna Fletcher, hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good because, at the end of this show, I go home and lie down. But you're going off to do 2 shows.
2 shows today, 2 shows tomorrow. Yes. We're in the middle of, I think, 3 9-show weeks.
I mean, we didn't get into show business for this, Giovanna, did we?
Some days we'd be lazy.
Yes.
What is this?
You're supposed to be having champagne brunches. Yeah. Not entertaining the masses.
I know.
So I'm thinking, have you done a musical before?
So my husband Tom Fletcher, he writes books, and one of his he wrote as a musical, so the Christmasaurus, and we put that on stage at the Hammersmith Apollo for 3 weeks, maybe 6 years ago. So we did that. So it was we played ourselves and then fell into character. So that was a lot of fun. But this is the first sort of West End musical. And it's a different thing. I'm used to plays where if things go a trifle awry, you kind of find each other and you move through the moment. Whereas with a musical, if you miss something, it carries on.
The orchestra's going.
They're going. They are not going, oh, come back, G. Come back.
Tell everyone what musical it is.
It's Everybody's Talking About Jamie. We're at the Peacock Theatre until the 23rd of March, and I play Miss Hedge.
Now, the thing is, because I've seen the musical, I've saw the documentary, I've seen the musical, I saw the movie, so I feel like I know it, but of course there are people who don't know this show. Yeah. So if you don't know anything about this, go, tell us about it.
So essentially it is about a boy called Jamie New who wants to go to his prom wearing a dress. Essentially, that is it in a nutshell. There's a lot of talk. They're in year 11. There's a lot of talk about what they want to be when they're older. He would like to be a drag queen, and he doesn't feel like he can vocalise that. But he does, and it's all about him kind of building up the courage and the confidence to do that. However, school are very much saying, no, you can't do that. That's not what you should be doing. And my character, I feel like she's kind of portrayed as a bit of a villain, but I kind of feel like as a teacher, it's so hard I think there are some teachers who just shouldn't be teachers. Yeah. Who you just go, do you even like children? However, I don't think she's one of those. I think she's been with these kids for so long, and actually what she wants is for them to be realistic about their future goals.
Manage your expectations.
Yeah. She's not one of those, you can be anything you want to be teachers. She's not that. And I think Jamie just kind of symbolises something very different for her. Yeah. I think maybe in an outside social setting, she would love him. However, in this school setting where she's trying to keep everyone in line, someone who's very much not in line and doing their own thing and knows who they are is a bit problematic for her.
And it's based on this documentary. It's a real story. And I met Jamie.
Jamie Campbell, yeah.
Have you met him? Have you been?
No, but I've literally watched him on the Lorraine sofa for years.
Yeah. There he is. Is Miss Hedge, is she a real person?
Well, he was told that he couldn't go to the prom, and when he did arrive, they were very much like, you can't go. But I think for me, it's one of those moments where the school coming together in the way that they do, and actually seeing how Jamie was accepted and is in this show, that is where the love and everything, it's just amazing, and actually, kind of toppling over what those expectations are from teachers and stuff. But yeah, I haven't kind of gone, what teacher is this? Let's go and study. Let's stalk her.
I'm going to cut my hair and dye it grey.
I've always wanted a part like that, though, where they're like, cut it off, dye it red. But yeah, no, she's got a very mean top bun going on.
And the audiences for this, because I imagine there's lots of returning people, because people don't just like this musical, they love it.
They love it. They want to see different people doing different roles. They come back time and time again. And what's interesting, actually, for me, the last 2 things that I've done, so 222 was, we left people feeling quite scarred.
It's a ghost story.
Yeah. Wish You Were Dead was a bit of a, crime whodunit kind of thing. It's just nice to do something where at the end everyone is up on their feet and it's so life affirming. It's so brilliant. It's such a feel-good show. It's just nice to have everyone smiling, clapping and singing along at the end. But it comes with people who are massive fans of the show and have seen every single version of it.
Everybody's Talking About Jamie. It's at the Peacock Theatre till the 23rd of March. You can get tickets at Everybody's Talking About Jamie, all one word, .co.uk. And because you are so busy, you do all these other things, you write, you podcast, everything. Are you able to fit all of that in around being in a show?
Yes, I can. Writing, I've I've realised no. When I was on tour last year, I said to myself, I'm not going to be at home with the kids. It'll be the perfect time to write. No, it is not. It is absolutely not the perfect time to write. Whereas podcasting is great because if you've got good Wi-Fi, you can do it. You can do it remotely, and we've had some good chats. And I think I know we don't like talking about COVID, but I think COVID really taught us all that actually, that you can do those sorts of things remotely. So that's nice to have actually that little bit of something else.
Yeah, some things are nice face to face, I think.
Yeah.
But there's some things, sometimes I now go to a meeting and I think, why aren't we doing this? Why isn't this on Zoom?
This could have been an email.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than stepping away from a meeting that you've travelled for. Yeah. Yeah. So I like that as well. I like having that little bit of balance and being able to step into my office, into my cupboard or into the studio. It's a nice feeling. And also because that's something that I've created that is totally mine. So it doesn't feel like you're doing, I feel like with the show, you're serving other people. You're doing your director's notes or whatever that is. Whereas with the podcast, it's like, wow, I set the rules.
Yeah,
it's
different
pressure.
Yeah. And I suppose it's the same with writing as well, because writing that is your baby. Well, will you co-write some things with Tom?
Yes. So at the moment we are talking about Even Man 3. So we've done a trilogy together. But again, I think writing is an amazing thing when you're in your draft stages where it's just you. I feel like it's the biggest piece of work you've ever handed over to a teacher when you're handing it to your editor.
It really
but that
is.
moment where you're creating and you're just getting the words down and exploring your character, I love that. There's nothing like it.
Because how many have you done those? 6?
I have done, 6 solo pieces of fiction, 2 non-fiction, 2 novellas, and then the 2 with Tom. Yeah.
I mean, if
So I'm
someone
on
had
book 13.
told you 10 years ago that you were going to produce all that stuff.
I know, but even now, I read it, and I don't know if you do this as well when you're reading yours. I read some of it sometimes, and I'm like, I wrote that. Like, that blows my mind, especially since I feel like when I first started writing, because I went to drama school, and I pretended to be a penguin, for one term. So the fact that I now write books, to me, it's mind-blowing. But what I realised early on is that we come with a different set of tools, and actually if we use that toolkit wisely, we can create great stuff. So rather than seeing it as a hindrance, using it. So I absolutely love sitting down and creating those. But I am on book 13 now, so I'm like, ugh. The pressure is still there. I think every time you sit down and write a book, you're like, can I do this?
Well, isn't it? I think it's a kind of, the pressure changes. Like in the beginning, it's can I do this, and then the pressure becomes can I do this again?
Yeah.
Like, do I have another story in
you know
me?
What? Even in the second book, I can remember the first book. So Billy and Me, when I sat down and wrote that, I had no publisher, no agent, I had no expectation of anyone reading it, and I just wrote that book, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had no kids either, so the freedom to write it was amazing. Then the second book, because I got a 2-book deal with Penguin. So the second book, I was writing that, and I just thought, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can. Like, was it a total fluke? A Penguin going to ask for their money back? I've already turned it into bookshelves behind me. What are we going to do? But you just push through, and there's an amazing thing I think that happens creatively, where you can feel like you've got the best idea, then you sit down and write it, and then that confidence kind of wanes a little bit, and then, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing ever. Oh no, maybe it is good. Oh no, it's terrible. And then you push through, and then you're like, no, actually.
Yeah.
But you have to go through those waves.
And I think that's the difference, isn't it, having a book deal?
Yeah.
If you were doing Billy and Me and you went through that, you'd have stopped.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And that's the best piece of advice, actually. So when I was thinking about writing a book, I met an author called Dorothy Coombson, and she was saying to me, didn't know that I was thinking about it at all, but she said to me about when people find out that she was an author, they'd always say to her, oh, I'd love to write a book. That's one thing I would love to do. And she was always saying, well, sit down and do it then. Because if you don't, that's the only way of knowing if you like the actual process of writing a book, if you're any good at it. So that was the best thing to kind of get out of my head. But it is different writing with Tom. Like, writing with 2 people is very, very different, because you have to work in a very different way. But you also have to hand things over when you're still at your, oh no, this isn't very good stage. You know what I mean? Like, you have to just trust each other.
And are you good at giving each other notes, or is that toe talks?
We are. What we do first, actually, we sit down and for a month and we just plan. So we really heavily plan each chapter, because we go between different characters' points of view of telling the story. So we have to sit down and plan. However, so you basically sit down and write that chapter that you've talked about, and then you hand it over to the next person to do it from Bram. So that's one of the characters Tom writes from. And we've only ever had it once where Tom went to me, oh no, you've pushed that too far. I think we should cut that bit out. And I was like, okay. 2 weeks later, he gives me his next chapter. He's taken what was too far and put it in his.
Oh.
But it's like the editors then took it out. So he was right. But yeah. So and also I think this is something that drama school taught us both, actually, because we met at Sylvia's when we were kids, is not to be too precious about what you create. You can be passionate about it, but don't be precious, because everyone is on the same page about trying to make what is being created the best it can be.
Yeah, and actually that's what drama school at its best should do, is kind of, knock the preciousness out of you.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like that's why I like things like maths, though. Maths, you can get a right answer. And sometimes I feel like I need a right answer. Whereas when you're creative, there is no right answer. You've just got to feel your way.
Audiences can see you getting it right this afternoon, this very afternoon, at the Peacock Theatre here in London. Everybody's talking about Jamie. People love that show. It is back. So if you haven't seen it before, if you have seen it before and loved it, you can go again. Everybody's talking about jamie.co.uk for tickets, and you can catch Giovanna until the 20th. Does it keep going after you leave?
It does. It goes on tour. So there's three new people coming in, but Sam Bailey's coming in to take over Miss Hedge. Kevin Clifton's coming in.
Oh, wow.
To take over from Johnny Partridge. So it would be a slightly different show, but I will be looking forward to coming back and watching the newbies on stage. Absolutely.
Oh, well, listen, thank you so much for coming in to talk to us. Always a pleasure, never a chore. Thank you very much. Giovanna Fletcher.